right, dog. We're gonna start from the beginning. You know what I mean? From childhood, from the dirt. You an Oklahoma City kid, correct?
I am, yes. East side born.
East side born, and then we both work on the east side of Oklahoma City even now as adults. So me being a Tulsa boy is, I would imagine it's a little bit different, but maybe not so much. Maybe in terms of size and proximity. But what was your childhood like growing up in Oklahoma City?
Well, I can imagine, and I don't want to generalize, I don't know, but I can imagine my child wouldn't be too different from any other my child's childhood growing up on the east side. Elementary, I went to a school that's now closed down for a very long time. As you can see, Oklahoma CPS has a long history of that.
Right.
I went to school at Dunbar Elementary. Dunbar Elementary was literally right down the street from Douglass. It was closed down, I think, around 2008, 2009.
Right.
A couple years after I actually got out of there. So my childhood upbringing, I think my parents played sports. I had no idea really. I didn't really play sports as a child. I wasn't no football child, no basketball child. I ran track one time in elementary, and I think it was like in the 3rd and 4th grade.
Right.
3rd grade, I ran the 200. 4th grade, when I got bumped up, I ran the 400. But the craziest thing about that happened is that I ran the 400, but somebody mixed up my paperwork and I got thrown in the 8. So, yeah.
That's a big jump. It sounds like, man.
Yeah. It made no sense. I actually got beat by a girl in that race because it was, since you're that young, they just group you together.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that race like it was yesterday. I was like, I really got beat by a girl,
man.
And I got beat by another guy who ended up going to Northeast. Me and him later crossed paths later in our lifetime. I was like, that's crazy. We all connected. But as a child, I was more into video games. Me and my dad, we were really into video games. So I was that child. I was a nerdy child. I like video games. I'm a diehard was it Lord of the Rings, Star Wars type of kid. That's me. I love all that. I don't play video games much now.
Right. I'm retired myself, man.
But yeah, that was pretty much my upbringing. I lived with my grandmother all my life.
Your mom's mom or your dad's mom?
My dad's mom.
Okay.
I seen my parents on the weekends. One weekend I'll go to my dad's, one weekend I'll go to my mom's, and we just flip flop back then.
Mm-hmm.
I had brothers and sisters on both sides of the family. But generally, I was the only child between my mother and my father. So I had no real siblings. I only had half siblings.
Gotcha.
But for me, that still was, I didn't understand how, the idea around that. But it was actually pretty cool because it was you had a family over here. My dad, obviously I lived with my dad's side of the family. So when I go visit my mom, I had a whole family over there that was a lot different from my dad's side. Dad, mom was always in constant tension.
Right.
So it's families.
Did you feel that even as a youngin?
I felt that. I felt like I was right in the middle of it. My families did not like each other.
Families. So it was bigger than just the two of them.
Yeah, it was bigger than just the two of them.
Man.
My families did not like each other, and they didn't mess with each other. So it was just I felt like I was in the middle of it, but hey, I didn't really think of too much of it. My childhood was around while I grew up in Dunbar Elementary. I was there all the way from kindergarten all the way until 6th grade when I left and headed right down the street to Douglass. My whole childhood in Dunbar Elementary, it was just based on, getting good grades. My father, he was in and out of prison a lot. So the opportunities from him were very limited, as of they always were for a lot of black men that are classified as felons. But it was always one thing he kept telling me throughout my lifetime. It's repetition. He kept telling me that I always had to be better than him. I didn't know what that meant that young. I didn't know what that meant in middle school.
Right.
Didn't really figure it out until high school. Probably not even until college. So
it's a trip how parents can drop these gems on us that mean absolutely nothing in the beginning, and then when you come of age, it's
makes sense.
Now
I tell people that all these messages that you heard as a child, they all tend to make sense now that you're grown and more mature. You got that experience under your belt. But my dad always, greatest father in my lifetime. He was there. He did what he could. He's always a great father to me, even now in that age. But he always kept telling me you gotta be better than me. You gotta be better than me. So my theory was, since I've grown up in a household where education was really prioritized, because my dad got his GED, my mom, she didn't finish high school.
Mm-hmm.
So graduating from high school, going to college that was the bar that was set for me.
Right.
And that's what the idea I always had in my head. Like as a child, like I want to be something great. I want to be like an engineer. I want to go fly planes.
Yeah.
I want to do things like that. I want to do something is better than what I see in front of me.
Right.
So
were you a very imaginative kid on your way up? Because it seems that way. I've known you for maybe about a month and some change now, but you definitely seem very intuitive and like you've got interests that extend far beyond what somebody would consider to be normal.
Definitely, and that spurs to me right now, and that spurred all in college. And I couldn't pick a major because of that. We'll get to that.
That's a real grind, man.
Yeah. So yeah, just in elementary, childhood, I was my aunt at the time, since my mother, I seen her whenever I could, but I didn't really have that bond with my mother right there.
Right.
My grandmother was my mother to me. I call her mom.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my mom, we just, as hard as it is, and as much as I love my mom, we didn't not have that bond.
Right.
Kind of still don't have that bond.
Yeah. Would
so,
you say it was a clash? As in, because we hear things like a kid and a parent, or even two kids may have similar personalities, so they just kind of butt heads. Was it one of those situations, or was it just you never really got tight?
I never really just got tight. I would say as a child, I didn't have the time and experience with my mother to probably have that bond.
Okay.
That my siblings on that side had with my mother.
Makes sense.
Because my dad, since I lived with my dad's side of the family, I always seen my dad more than often. My dad came over during the weekdays and visited me. We always did stuff. And his sister, my aunt, became kind of like my mom.
Right.
Because before she had children, I was kind of her child. She did everything with me. When she did still have children, I looked at them as like my sisters. She has two daughters. So like she stepped in as a parent in most occasions. She provided for me when the time was needed to. So she became that beacon of like my mom at a young age, opposed to my grandma. My grandma was just like the authoritarian in the house. Like you just don't mess with grandma.
Right.
Like
grandma runs it.
Like I was that child. Like you stepped out of line. Like you go pick that switch off the tree outside. Like that's. I imagine all grandmas like you got black grandmas. That was my grandma. But she did that not out of a sense of just anything like negative, but she did that. I see now she did that to keep me away from things in society. That children may be exposed to, living on the east side, drugs, crime, stuff like that. Like when you had to be in the house when that street light come on,
sure.
You in the house, but the street light come on, like she hopping in that truck, hunting you down.
So
like, that was as far as the early upbringing before like middle school, like that's what it was around, and it was my household was very loving. Because there were, at the same time, it was very, authoritarian. There was an emphasis on education. So I didn't know how I was going to get to college. I didn't even know college cost at that young age.
None of those details.
Yeah, none of those details. But I knew I was going to college because it was imprinted in my head. And it's something that I felt like I needed to do because when you go to college, you become successful when you go to college. You see all famous people. You see people who do great things like judges, police officers, all these people. They say they went to college and they was these people, so I feel like I needed to go to college to become one of these people.
Now, I got a little bit of a theory that sort of goes right along with that, or it may challenge that. I think we all grow to a certain point, whether some of us get to that point earlier than others, and some people it takes a little while before we somewhere, get to a point where we start to shed a little bit of what our parents sort of molded us to be. And what I mean is, we grow up, let's say for the first maybe 12 or 13 years of your life, like you said, you've been hearing this, you've been hearing that, it's been beat into your head by your parents, but then you come of age and then you gain some perspective. You start to think and see stuff for yourself. And then did you ever get to a point to where what you saw for yourself was different from what your grandmother and your dad and all of them wanted you to pursue? Because I got that way at one time.
Kind of, but...
You pretty much stayed the course? I
stayed that course all the way, even through high school, through all the state championships, through all the wins, through all the national appearances.
Right.
I kind of stayed that way because I didn't really, I would say that because I didn't really have anything different to show me different. Even my coaches, who were very supportive in my lifetime to give me opportunity, to bless me with opportunities to do greater things, their vision was kind of the same for me. we trying to get you to go to, we got to get you to get to college so you can have a better life for yourself. So it's just like my perspective didn't really grow outward on what I really wanted to do until I hit college. Different than one of my parents, because even my grandma and my dad, they didn't have the experience themselves, but like I said, they were very supportive. They didn't care what I went to go to college and do. They needed me to go to college. So whatever I said I was gonna do, they were behind it.
Yeah.
As many a times did that change, but
Right.
they were behind it. If I wanted to be a doctor one day, I was gonna be a doctor. If I wanted to be a lawyer one day, I was gonna be a lawyer. If I wanted to be a teacher one day, I was gonna be a teacher. If I wanted to be a coach, I was gonna be a coach.
For real.
But it had to be something where I could craft a better life to myself and provide for my family differently and better than what my parents could have provided for me.
How soon or how late in your college experience did you figure it out? Like, okay, after I've danced, so to speak, and I've turned away from this major, I've turned away from this pursuit. Now I'm on path and I'm going to finish whatever this is. Where'd you get to that point? Would you say first year, second year, third year?
I would say third year, maybe third year summer, maybe predominantly all senior year. That's where I really came into view and like, okay, this is my track. I know where I wanted to get to.
What was it at that point?
That was law school.
Oh, man.
I'm currently studying for the LSAT right now.
I did not know that. Real.
Yeah. I felt like because and KU opened up a lot of doors for me, and most importantly, even though it opened up a lot of doors for me, it opened my eyes, and I think that's primarily the greatest thing a college can do for you is open your eyes. It opened my eyes to things that I feel like I had an obligation to do. When I got to KU, it was a very different site. I came from the East Side, so primarily East Side, next to Tulsa, primarily black.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find this in the census now. Most blacks in Oklahoma are congregated either the largest population being in Tulsa, historically wise, but the next congregation will be in Oklahoma City, primarily the northeastern side of Oklahoma City. That's where you find most blacks at. So Frederick A. Douglass was black. All my coaches are black. Millwood was black.
Right.
All of my schools we with rivalries with, Northeast or Spencer, all black. Northeast Classen, mixture, still black.
Right.
So my whole life has been, surrounded by people who look like me, and it didn't really wake my eyes up until I went to an institution where you had about 15 to 20,000 people that did not look like you.
So it forced you into a setting with a bunch of different people that don't look like you.
That don't look like me.
Yeah. Did you have trouble adjusting?
I feel like I still have trouble adjusting. I don't even go there no more. When I go back and visit, like I'm getting ready to do for homecoming pretty soon, because my fraternity holds like a little tailgate every year with our KU Black Alumni Association. So
okay, now hold on. What fraternity are you a part of?
I am an honorable member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Kappa Alpha Psi. Okay, now I'm learning these things about you. We've been talking a lot for the last couple of weeks, and I'm just now getting some of this stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so we do our thing on the hill. Everybody's invited. It's free food. It's all love. We do that every year. We have been doing it for a very long time. But that eye opener made me feel like I had to explore. Like, okay, and what it made me want to do is that, okay, I knew when I got to KU, I always tell people this. I got to KU and it was a shocker because when I was at Douglass, I was fourth in my class and there were 3 females in front of me. So I felt like the top guy in the school. I had graduated with about 30 college credit hours. I've been taking college credit hours since like sophomore year.
That's unheard of, bro.
So, and crazy story behind that is just that, like, the reason why people would ask me, like, how did you accumulate that much? I was like, I just kept taking the ACT. I took the ACT 8 times. Douglas only paid for it twice. And the reason why I was taking it was not to be getting a higher score to get into college. It was to get a higher score so OCCC would give me more classes. I never thought that any of this would benefit me. It was more of just I got to be better. I got to get more college credit hours.
Yeah.
If I didn't, I had to be honest and say, if I didn't take all that credit hours, I'll probably be at KU doing the 5th year right now.
So you got out in 4 years.
I got out in 4 years
after changing majors umpteen times. Okay, now see, we got to back up a little bit because like the foresight that you had is like far beyond what I had. And I'm a little older than you are, but see. I don't know what I knew versus what I didn't know until I listened to guys like you talk about it. Because did you have anybody like sort of giving you tutelage saying, hey, listen, go here, all right, get as many of these credit hours as you can, and say,
Definitely.
hey, if you think about this, you keep taking ACT, you can get more credits from OCCC. Somebody was giving you that knowledge?
Yeah, it was the counselor that I think she is still there now. Her name is Miss Williams. Miss Williams was a big influence on my life. I thank Miss Williams today for everything she did do for me, for everything, for being that mentor in my ear.
Right.
For all the teachers there that were big mentors for me, Miss Hughes, she gave me my love for mathematics. All these teachers, especially Miss Williams, she kept influencing me. Like, hey, I think OCCC's like regulation was you have to have like an 18 or 19 on each sub scores in each of your subjects to get college classes in that specific subject. For a long time, my first college class was biology because I scored a 20 in biology. I didn't score anything higher than anything else, but I was like, okay, I want to take a class in English. I want to take a class in math. Like, I want to take a class in what can I get from these other sections.
Right. So you just lining them up and mowing them down.
So I was taking them. I kept studying for them, kept studying for them. I got around the same score every single time, but it was progress. Like, I would get eventually a higher point score every time I took it in a subject.
Right.
Eventually, I was able to get classes in all 4 subjects. So I was just taking them out, and it was all free. Man. So it was all free.
Just winning out here, man.
Yeah, it was all free. So I was like, yeah, give it to me.
And this, I think I heard you right. Correct me if I'm wrong. But did you say this wasn't necessarily directed toward anything? This wasn't like, I need to do this so I can go to college or get this scholarship. So there wasn't really a goal. You were just challenging yourself.
I didn't find out the importance of all that college credit until the first month that I was at KU when I transferred everything in.
Okay.
Since I did have all that college credit, ideally, I didn't have to take 15 credit hours a semester. I only need to take 12 to graduate in 4 years.
12 each semester.
12 each semester.
4 years.
And that was ideal because if you run
taking care of business, man.
If you were running track and field, that was ideal.
Right.
Like to take 12, especially in the springtime. Now, I had some faults. I had failed some classes. Simple things that, college students go through. But without that college credit, I'll probably be there in 5th year. I'll save that. But I didn't understand the importance of all that until I actually got to KU. I was just trying to be the best.
Right.
In every aspect of my life. I was trying to be a good student. I was trying to be a great athlete. And that's kind of what filled everything. And I didn't really go past that. When people ask, like, oh, why are you such a smart guy? I'm like, I'm just trying to have more college credit. I'm trying to be a better student. I'm trying to look good on paper.
That's right. And isn't that a trip though? People say something to you like that, but it's really it's a quiet admiration, really, because I don't even want to knock them and say they can't do it, but they just may not have been driven to do what you did the way you did it, and then so they little by little try to chomp you and bring you back down to size. Man, that's crazy. But one thing you touched on, and I'm gonna shift gears. We're gonna talk about the athletic aspect because you threw a slight little stunt in there a couple of words back when you talked about all the championships that you've been a part of and all the accolades that you received. You went to Douglass High School, right?
Douglass, yes.
Now they got rich history in terms of having some prominent athletic programs over there. How was your track experience when you were in high school?
My track experience was, I'm not gonna lie, I hated it a long time up until like my sophomore year.
All right.
Take that back, junior year. So I hated it because I felt like there was something that I wasn't doing that these other guys were doing that were winning. So I had the same coach all throughout my lifetime, which is Coach Irvin Wyatt and his wife Keitha Wyatt.
Okay.
I had the same two. They coach for if you've ever heard Eastside Steppers, you would know both of them. But Irvin Wyatt was, I would say, singly, he became my father in high school.
Like that.
He literally became my father in high school. I met him my 7th grade year. And what happened was I tried to stick to the 400 and 200.
Right.
So generally when you run track at Douglass, there's like two sides. There's a sprint side and there's like a distance side. Mm-hmm. So I was over at the sprint side.
Right.
But, I was told because how I looked and how I ran, you're not no sprinter. You might want to go over there with the distance side. So I was like, okay. So I just went over there without really challenging, without really knowing it as a middle schooler. You just there because you like, I was out there because it was the only sport that I could play. Mm-hmm. I had some experience. I tried to play football both years in middle school while I was there. Didn't really pan out. I quit both times.
Wow.
I came back my 8th grade year. I was like, all right, I didn't really have a good experience 7th grade year, but we're gonna do better this year.
Right.
Nah, I play that the same way.
Man.
So I was like, yeah, football must not be for me.
Must not be your calling.
It must not be my calling. I tell people this day, I've never been able to play basketball because I feel like I don't have the hand-eye coordination.
I got
Basketball is a very precise sport.
It is a precision game.
It calls a precision. Like I just didn't have that. My reactions is late.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say I don't understand plays, but like I see the play on paper, but then like you have to do it. It's different. I was like, I never got any of that. So like,
don't you worry. Even some of the so-called experts who've been playing this game for a long time struggle with that same thing.
So I was like, I'm gonna just run between these two white lines every spring. Before I learned about cross country in high school, when I was in middle school, this was what it was. So I will say the first time I got on the track, and I remember this like it was yesterday. It feels like a movie playing in my head. I was with the middle school group. My coach, Coach Irvin, was he was coaching me and like a high school group because he had both middle school, on that side. So I was running with the middle school. We were doing I think we were doing like a 400 workout.
Right.
When we did like a couple reps, he was like, "What's your name?" I was like, "I'm Anthonio." He was like, "I'm gonna call you Tonio. Hey, come over here."
Sounds just like us.
He's like, "I'm gonna call you Tonio. Come run with these guys." So ever since like literally I got put in the high school group. And I was training with high schoolers ever since I was in middle school.
Right.
And my thought was, I need to be beating these guys. I want to beat these guys.
So it never occurred to you that, hey, I'm up a couple of notches. Let me just No. He said, no, I gotta exceed.
I just felt like I had to be better than you because I'm trying to gain the support of my coach. Because he was a great guy. So I was like, I want him to like me more. So I'm just like, I need to be beating y'all. And that's exactly what happened.
Did it take a while or was it instant?
It took a minute. I will say I wasn't beating everybody, but I was never the last person to come across the line. 8th grade, that changed. I was either first or second, everything we did, but I was an 8th grader at that time. So, but the funny thing was, it happened in middle school. I never won a meet. Not one. The only meet I won in 8th grade, middle school, was the All City Conference 800 meter. Yeah, I didn't win anything else. That was my only gold medal in middle school. I tell people this today. If I had to put together a record of my high school and even college career, I would have 10 more times more losses than I had wins. But those small amount of wins that came, they were big wins.
Right.
They were big wins. And
so it was quality over quantity.
It was always quality over quantity.
Man.
And that's something I tell even my athletes this, like, this is something you will learn even in college if you make it to that level. Like it's about quality. Like it ain't really about how much you could do something. It's about when the time comes, you're gonna hit that shot. When the time comes, you're gonna get in that end zone. When the time comes, are you gonna be the first one across that line?
Yeah.
So middle school, that's really what it was. I focused on dropping time, getting faster so that I could win. And what's crazy is about me running the 800. 800 is a really rough race. It's 2 laps. It's 2 laps of full sprint. There's always a debate between what's the hardest race in track and field, either the 4 or is it the 8. I'm biased, obviously, because I ran the 8.
Right.
But if you look at it, it's the 8. Like when I got more really in tune to running the 8, I started to pull things from it that I think attributed to my life, which is there's never in an 800 meter race. It's always not about the first lap. It's about who's strong enough to pull through the second lap.
That's right.
Who's strong enough to keep going when everybody else is tired.
Right.
I didn't figure out any of that until junior year. So how I was running the race, I would go out fast. I had a natural speed, and like I said, I just that speed just developed over time. My dad played sports in high school. I think my mom did play some sports, but it wasn't really anything close to what I was doing. So when I was in middle school, I would always take off the first lap. And I ran
bat out of hell.
Yeah, I ran the 4 and the 8 in middle school before I went to high school and started running the 8 and the mile. So in middle school, I would run the 4 and the 8. And when I run the 4, I'll be good. Like I know how to run the 4. I love running the 4. Like it's great. It's 1 lap. When I had to run that 8, I was like, man, I love this 8, but I hate the 8 because it's 2 laps. And the reason why when I ran the 8, I would run it real fast the first lap and I'll be dead. And I'll just be trying to recover I'd be trying to recover oxygen into that 200 meter sprint.
Right.
But that's nowhere near how you run the 8. And that's how a lot of people run the 8 nowadays when they're not educated on how to run the 8.
Yeah, well, educate somebody like me who's, my bread is buttered in basketball, but I'm on this quest to become more well-versed in other sports. So how would one run the 8?
I will tell you how you will run the 8, and my college coach, Coach Stanley Redwine, taught me this fundamentally the best way to run the 8. And it has changed sometimes over depending on, Olympics and people who do this professionally. It has changed.
Right.
But generally, how I would say you would run the 8, it's about putting yourself in the race. It's about putting yourself in a position, to when that second lap come, where you going to be at. You don't want to be coming from behind. You don't want to be in the middle. You might want to be in the front pack because 300 meters to go, people are gone. So when you run the first lap, first 400, it has to be fast. It has to be a strong fast. It has to be a pace where you're not tired. A pace where you're, if you had to kick right here,
could you do it?
Could you do it? You could go. So after that, usually after the first 400, there's I'll say this is a ask your question zone. Mm-hmm. It's usually the first 100 meter curve of the second lap. Right. That's your ask question zone. Where am I? Where do I need to move up? How fast am I running? You better ask all those questions in that first curve, because after that, especially in college, after that, oh no, people are going. Mm. And even in college, like that, her first curve is cut down to like half the curve. You only got 50 meters to think, because after that, you moving, right? You moving, and then after the first 300 meter, when people are moving, you're moving. If you're behind, you're moving because you're putting yourself up in a position for like this 110. 100, like 150, like speed burst.
Okay.
At that point,
makes some sense.
At that point, everyone's tired. Everyone's not full of all out sprinting. Everyone, it's about literally moving your arms, keeping your legs moving, and staying strong, not tightening up. I was told you can't sprint, you can't run fast by running fast. And I know that doesn't make sense, but in that curve, in that point of the race, you can't run fast by trying to run fast. Because if you're trying to run fast, you're trying to grind it out. You're trying to sprint a 200. Like you ain't tired. You're tightening up. Your shoulders is coming up. No, it's about staying relaxed, breathing, moving your arms as fast as you can. Your legs will follow. And that part of your race gets better with over time. You get naturally faster doing that just with training in the NCAA. Your form gets better. You do get faster than that last point, but that's generally how you run the 800. It's not about the first lap. It's about this weird 300 meter kick that everybody has to have at 300 meters. And if you ain't got it,
you're toast.
You think you good, but people are going to be too far ahead of you at the end of the race for you to have. Because just think about it. If you don't kick when everybody else is kicking and you saving that energy, you still running. So you're not really saving energy. You just kind of just prolonging it. Mm-hmm. So like when people are really going and you're not going and you think you're going to catch them when they're tired, nah. They're going to be moving at a speed to where, like, you can't really catch them even at your speed because you didn't go when the opportunity presented itself. You have to go when the opportunity presents itself, regardless of how you feel.
Man, and then you just broke it down in a great way, but I got some questions because it sounds like you got a hell of a lot in your mind when you're out there on that track. Technique, which based on your breakdown, sort of has a lot to do with the speed that you're able to pick up down the stretch. All right. And then also, I know even though y'all are in shape, we're not machines, we're humans. So we run low on some fuel sometimes. And when you feel your body hurting you, or you I don't want to say breaking down, but slowing down. But besides the coaching and the technique that you got in your head, what are you telling yourself from an intangible standpoint? Like, yo, I can't be tired right now. Like, what kind of conversations going on in your mind?
It's time to go.
It's time to go.
When you run with Coach Stanley Redwine at KU, he impregnates like this thought in your mind, and it's this phrase that you will hear him say 1,000 times over. Let's go get better. That's all you hear in your head.
Simple, huh?
Let's go get better. But like he would tell you have to be crazy when you run 800 because he himself, as a professional, he ran the 800.
That was his bread and butter.
Yeah, that was his bread and butter. Okay. That's what made me commit to KU. So that's literally what it is. Like you have to be people who run 800. You got to be crazy. Because you have to go when your body is telling you that it can't go anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think that's not just with the 800. I've never ran any other race at an amateur level like in college, like other than the 1,000 and like maybe on a 4x4. But I would imagine that's the mentality you have to have in a race like that. You have to have that in the 4. You have to have that in the 2. regardless of how your body, because your body's gonna naturally tell you that, hey, I'm hurting. That's what your body's supposed to do to you. That's what your body does. That's what your brain tells you. Hey, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm hurt. But when you have to put that aside and listen to your heart and be like, hey, it's time to go. Let's go. Regardless of how you feel, that's where the champions are made.
For sure.
That's where the champions are made, because ain't nobody. A lot of people listen to their head when they run, and the thing between me, you have to turn it off,
right? Because
your brain is gonna tell you the same thing every time. Even when you're at practice, your brain gonna tell you thirsty. Your brain is gonna tell you tired. But no, you have to keep going. You have to keep going. That's what I pulled into my life. That aspect of, you may be tired, you may be feeling bad one day, but you have to keep going, because I mean, what was the guy who made the video talking about how if you want to be successful, as bad as you want to breathe?
Oh yeah.
I love that video. I love that video when I first seen it.
He's fired up too.
Like,
he means every syllable of it.
Like, you have in the 800 meters, every time you step on the track, you have a chance to be better. Yeah. But if you don't take the opportunity to get better, it's not gonna come. If you keep listening to your mind, like, okay, I didn't do it this race, I'm gonna do it another race. Or I'm too far behind. I'm not gonna catch up. Yeah. I'm tired. Let me slow down and catch my breath. Mm-hmm. When you in the front of the pack, nah. It's when it's time to go. It's time to go, and it hurts. It hurts. I told, when I start really running fast, especially in college, even in high school, when I really started to run fast, that's when the real pain came. Mm. And I learned how to deal with it in college thanks to my coach. But in high school, you try to find your way to get through it. Yeah. But yeah, like, when that pain comes, either it's gonna get the best of you or you're gonna get the best of it. And you gotta get the best of it.
Now, when you say better, I look at that as a broad term. It's even almost vague to some degree, because I think most people, the common mind, would think when you say better or when you say even good or best, those words are relevant in comparison to something or comparison to somebody else. So would you say that there is one or multiple battles going on within you when you're on that track? When you say, okay, I'm trying to get better, are you trying to get better in comparison to your opponents out there on that track? Or are you thinking about your previous time and trying to outdo that? So I guess in essence, you'd be competing with yourself at that point.
Yes. And now I think that as far as looking back in high school, that was mainly the case. I would say what college teach you, what the best thing that college does teach you, is that everybody is just as fast as you. In high school, I didn't have it. I was a lot faster than everyone else. So like, I was really like isolated in myself. I was like, I got to get better for me, until I went to the summertime running, like, summer track and field, where I actually got go run against people who are just as good as me or even better.
So you had to be internally motivated.
Yeah, you had to be. But in the 800, like, it doesn't work. It works the same exact way, no matter if it's people in front of you, people behind you. It's easier when you have people that's better than you, obviously, but you have to be internally motivated to get better, because no one else is going to make you better. Mm-hmm. If you don't take that opportunity to go when the time it presents itself, you're not going to see a time decrease. You're going to run the same time over and over again. You're going to run close to the same time. You're going to wonder what's going on. You can't do anything different by not doing anything different.
That's a fact. That's a mic drop, and anybody with any sense would understand that. But now here's what I'm going to throw at you, because we talked off the record about this, and you were saying, like, you sort of, I don't want to say got tricked, or maybe you were being too nice of a guy and ended up turning yourself into a distance runner for a short while. Now, compare cross country to track, in my opinion. In your opinion, what are some of the biggest misconceptions between the two? Are they more alike than they are different? Or
they are more alike than they are different. Okay. The only difference is the distance.
That's it.
That's the only difference. The similars are the same. I would say what cross country is, I know a lot of cross country, especially from college, and the mentality and personality that they have. They are a lot. I'm not gonna lie. They were a lot more aggressive. And I feel like you have to be that way when you're running long miles. You have to stay more aggressive than you are when you're running a short distance, because the thing between track and field and cross country, you can see the finish, but you don't know what you're going to have to do to get to that finish. Mm-hmm. And track and field, you see both. You see what you got to get to that distance, because it's a circle. Okay. You know how many laps you got to run around. You see the start and the finish. So you know exactly where you're going to end. You know exactly when you're going to start. In cross country, when you're running miles, and you run at a very fast pace, And if you run it in a group or if you're in the lead by yourself, how do you keep yourself going in a situation like that to not stop, to not slow down so nobody catches you,
right.
or how to catch somebody in front of you? How do you stay on the same pace or fast pace to get a good time? And you got to stay aggressive. I hated cross country.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the words that you used when you broke it down to me.
I hated cross country. I hated it so bad.
So you're not a distance runner. That's fair to say.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Okay.
You know, everybody has like their. I was good at cross country, but cross country was not my bread and butter. I wasn't nationally viewed as a cross country runner. That's a whole different athlete.
Mm-hmm.
They train a whole different entirely way
Right.
than I did. But when I was in high school and I was running it, I think now looking back, I think that cross country helped me a lot, not only physically wise but mentally wise. Even though I was running shorter distance in track in the springtime versus the fall, because cross country teaches you that, hey, like, you still running. You are still running. It's
look at your
10
watch.
minutes.
You still
running. Like, how do you keep? You got to keep your sense. And the funny thing is with me is that you will get a runner's high running cross country, because as long as you are running, that people see when they're not running. When we're coaching, we're seeing our boys out there running. We're like, oh, where they at?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you think they're running, when you're running, it is a whole different scene. The meet is over. The race is over just like that. Especially when you're running a fast time. Like, you look up, it's been 5 minutes. You look up again, that thing say 10 minutes. You look up again, you seeing the finish line.
Wow.
Like, when you have these spurs and moments, when you come into consciousness, I say, the race is over just like that, just as fast as it would be if you were in track and field. And
runner's high. That's a new term for me, man.
Yeah,
but that makes sense though. So it's almost like you're kind of playing a game with yourself, fooling yourself. Like, hey man, I'm working, but I'm not going to even think about the distance. I'm not going to even really think about the task. I'm just going to keep this body moving.
You got to keep moving. I didn't have no watch. I didn't keep no time for myself.
Right.
I didn't know where I was going. I was following the white line.
There you go.
In track and field, what are you doing? You following a white line.
You staying in between two white lines.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm going. I got to keep going. I see people cheering on.
Right.
People taking times. I'm following this ATV in front of me, because 9 times out of 10, I was the front pack leader.
Right.
And especially when I got so far up ahead, where nobody catching me, it was me, and it was me at ATV. And I was like, I had to keep going. I got to keep pushing. And that's the difference. It's cross country is a brutal sport. It's more mental, and it's more you gotta be more mentally aggressive on yourself than you would be if you were running track and field.
Right.
Because you gotta pull through that. And I give kudos to every cross country runner on the collegiate level, because the distance doubles when you go to college. They running 10Ks. So I'm just like, and sometimes, and most of the time, most times they're running those 5Ks faster than, some high school elite runners are running just their 5Ks, but they're doing it repeatedly. I would say a good cross-country time is like 15 minutes, maybe 16 minutes at best. You go to college, not only do you got to run like 15 minutes for the first 5K, you got to run 15 minutes for the second 5K. And those elite runners, they're running in like 14, 13 splits. I'm just like, yeah, that ain't my cup of tea.
Y'all got it.
Y'all got it. Like, that's a crazy sport, but it is rewarding. Like, if you're able to do something like that, then when you transfer over into the spring, and I'm telling what type of animal you might be on the track after that. Like, if you can conquer both, let's see, Jim Ryan, who holds the 800 meter record for KU for a long time, until like 2 years ago, thanks to Donovan Brazier and thanks for another runner who came after, I heard. That record, the KU record, was the NCAA record. Jim Ryan, he did both. He ran cross country well. He came over to 800 meters, 143.7, I think it was. And that was a hand time back then when they was running 880. So, like, I ain't gonna tell you, it might have been faster.
Machine.
So, like, I know the aspect of being that type of a beast. Like, if you could master cross country, when you come to track and field, can't nobody tell you nothing.
So, are you admitting that, hey, it's a rougher grind than it is in track?
Yeah.
Okay, now link training for both of those, okay? Because to me, I know that there has to be some dimension of both of those that look different from the other, but I'm not sure in my limited knowledge. So what would, let's say, a preseason in cross country look versus a preseason in track?
The mileage. There's a lot more mileage in cross country, especially in preseason.
Right.
Preseason, there may be fundamentally less mileage than when you would hit season training in cross country.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all down to the mileage. When you're in track and field and you're having a preseason, the mileage is there. The mileage is definitely there. But it's more about not only the mileage, but it's about, training your body, lifting that heavy weight.
Heavy weight it is. That's something I didn't expect to hear you say. Okay.
Yeah, lifting the heavy weight. In cross country, there's not really a sense of heavy weight, because cross country, it's more stamina, it's more mentality in your mind than it is your actual, physical, strength. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that strength doesn't play a factor in cross country at all. It does to the same degree. But since you're training for distance, you train your body different for distance than you would be if you were running a set meter race.
Right.
So if you're running a 400, you see 400 meter runners, they built, especially in college and professionals, they all built. So, their training was fundamentally different than if you see some cross country runners who are a lot more leaner, who are tall, skinnier. Like their mentality is to, make sure they're eating right, make sure they're drinking water, make sure they're hitting these miles. And only way you get better at running miles, is you got to run the mile.
Straight up.
Yeah.
You got to get out there to do it.
You got to get out there and do it. Like, okay, how am I going to run this mile faster or differently than I ran the second mile, the third mile, the fourth mile? Mm-hmm. Repetition.
That's a fact. Well, what was that saying you said? You don't do anything different.
You don't do anything different. You can't do anything different by not doing anything different.
That's a fact. Now, you did say something about eating. And one thing that I really didn't even give a second thought about when I was a teenager or in college was what I put into my body. Because, I'm young still, metabolism still burning. So pretty much everything that comes in is burning up.
It's burning up.
Okay, so, but also, although I played basketball, which is a precision game, I won't even put that in the same stratosphere as what you do. You know what I mean? So were you disciplined enough to watch your intake when you were a high schooler and a college student athlete, or were you eating whatever?
I was eating whatever.
You're drinking whatever.
I wasn't eating anything crazy that I knew would hurt me, like hot Cheetos before a race.
Well,
but I didn't go. Stuff. Yeah, but I wasn't really watching my eating at all. I was drinking a lot of water. But I wasn't watching my eating at all. Whatever my grandma cooked, if she cooked neck bones that night, she cooked pork chops, she cooked fried chicken. Hey, that's dinner. I'm not watching what I'm eating.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't know anything.
You can watch me eat it, right?
Exactly. You watch me eat. I didn't know anything about nutrition until I came to KU.
Right.
And
it mattered at that point, huh?
It mattered, and I'm not gonna lie, just going on camera saying this, I still didn't really follow it in college. To a certain degree. I was following the nutritionist plan, because we had our own nutritionist, and he gave us some plans and stuff, what we should be eating as far as like meat, how lean it needs to be, servings of what. I was definitely doing it, but it was those times where I was like, hey bro, I'm finna get these Cheetos, like,
that's
hey,
right.
like, but it wasn't rare. It was
Off
rare.
the wagon just
but
for a
I'm
little
gonna step
bit.
off the wagon because I was like, I can't enjoy no food. I always had snacks in my dorm. I was like, hey, hey, it's college. What do you want to say?
Yeah, you gotta do it.
I got this freedom. I'm finna eat, boy, and I got this limited dining hall pass. I'm finna go there and I'm bringing back ice cream, bringing back anything I can, but I'm still gonna follow the plan.
For sure.
But
for sure.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do more right than I'm gonna do wrong.
Exactly.
I like the way you think.
But in high school, no,
not a chance.
No, not a chance at all. I maybe have listened, and I maybe have incorporated a few things into my diet. Mm-hmm. Like I should be eating more green vegetables, but that's a term you hear all your life. Yeah. So that's not really. I didn't really do anything different. Just to admit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing. Yeah. I was more of just when you get in practice. That was the difference for me. I was drinking more water, but it's just like I wasn't really watching what I was putting in my body.
For sure.
So yeah.
Lucky us for it not just totally crushing us.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? All right. Now we're gonna fast forward to adulthood a little bit. We're both grown men. We both are educators in the state of Oklahoma. We both teach and coach at Millwood High School. You see what I'm saying? How did you end up being a teacher, man? Because on the list of all the things that you said you kicked around in college trying to figure it out, you didn't put education on that list, but yet you ended up in education.
Education wasn't on the list as a formal job that I actually considered, but it definitely was in the interest category. Yeah. And I say that because, like I said, when I came to KU, and I thought I was going to be the man, just like I was a man in high school, academically and athletically. Right. Those dreams was cut down in the first month.
Had to bring you down the size a little bit.
Yeah, had to bring down the size, a lot of size, especially in Calculus 1.
It makes my stomach hurt.
I realized that, like, I was in classes with engineering majors and things like that, where they could do all this math in their head, and I'm still looking for my calculator.
Straight
Like, so I'm just like, I'm not what?
Yeah, I'm not that guy yet.
I'm not that guy yet. Oof. I'm not a guy. Not right now. But it's just like.
Was math always your strongest subject, though? Would you say?
In high school,
right?
I wasn't really. I love math. It was the easiest for me to do, but it wasn't really a strong. So everything was strong. I got A's and everything. So
bad, big dog. Bad.
Like it was. I would say math just came the easiest, and it was a category I put more effort towards because I like math because it had a definite answer. Everything else, English, writing, like all that. I didn't find out where to put commas at until college. So I was just like, all those didn't really have a definite answer, and I was looking for something definite. And math always was that strong suit that gave me a definite answer. If you add 2 numbers, you should get another number. Easy peasy.
And if you work it out and you don't get the right answer,
that
means
you did something wrong.
Okay. Like, so you go back through all the steps.
Exactly. So that's a lot what I teach my kids now because I teach geometry. So I'm just like, hey, if this side didn't, if this line didn't equal this line, that means your X was wrong. Let's go back and do the math again. So like, in high school, I was so focused on just making sure my report card every semester or every progress report said straight A's that I didn't really have a strong suit. I just wanted to be best at every subject, keep my GPA up.
Right.
Like I said, for no real reason, I didn't know that any of that would come into play until later. But I was just wanting to be that shining kid. And plus, my family was very supportive. So just like a traditional family, you bring home, progress. Report card got all A's. You get some shit, you get some bread.
Yeah, so always some incentives.
Yeah, it's always some incentives, but
and those are nice, no question.
So, but yeah, education came into play because in my mind, I was like, as what I know now as being like out of college for 2019, so 5 years now. Okay. Being out of high school for 5 years, being out of college for this is my first year really going around being out of college, but being out of high school for literally 5 years, I tell my students, like, I just left the place where you were at. I was just here.
Literally around the corner.
I was literally just here around the corner from you. So the things that I know, the things I've seen, experienced, I want you to be prepared for them.
Sure. So
when you get to college, I feel like I need to prepare you for what you're going to experience. And I want you to be prepared. I don't want you to be like me, that, you were the man in high school, but you're the man to a degree that because of some systemic issues, you wasn't really taught everything. You was just the best in your school and just being the best. But when you got to college, there are some things that you were supposed to know that you didn't really get taught in high school. And that hit harder than anything else. So I was like, I feel like as education, because that's actually what I'm studying for the LSAT for, my aspiration is to be an education lawyer or, go into education law and policy as a law student. So I want to know, what could I do better to help my students be prepared for the post-secondary opportunities that they will, or higher education, making sure that, when college algebra come around, are they going to be able to pass it? Are they going to be able to understand what's going on? Are they going to be able to work, to the degree that they can be successful in that specific course, or they can be successful in that specific major? I don't want their secondary experience to be a hindering factor from them not being successful in a higher education institution. And that's the case for a lot of students I know. All of us that have came out Oklahoma City public schools, it's not these days. A lot of people tell me it's not hard to get into college. You can get into college, but can you remain there?
Yeah,
is always the deciding factor now. And it's just like it's harder for a lot of us, especially who came out of public city schools, who we try to do our best, and I know educators in the system tries to prepare students the best way they could, but sometimes a lot of things get left untaught. So when you go to college colleges, they're not linked to a secondary institution. They're an institution themselves, so they base everything off of what you should have learned in the high school. So like if you didn't learn it, they're not finna stop you. Like you got to come to tutoring, or you're gonna have to teach yourself. But we're not going back. That's not what we do here. I remember a specific time where I was taking chemistry. Chemistry. Everybody has to take chemistry. But I was taking it at a time where I was a pre-med major, so I was taking chemistry. I think it was Chem 2. And I had trouble figuring out equations that would give me a specific output.
Mm-hmm.
But in this equation, I had to factor.
Wow.
I was like, uh-oh.
You speaking a foreign language to me.
I was like, uh-oh.
I didn't like chemistry either.
And when I went to get some help from the tutor, tutor wasn't very nice because he was like, "You don't know how to factor?" I was like, "Not as good. Not with variables that are over 1."
Straight up.
So he was like, "Oh, okay." I don't remember what happened after that. I think it was kind of hurt. Yeah. That kind of hurt because I was like, "Oh, dang." So I had to try to like go to tutoring afterwards to try to figure out how to factor. But factoring wasn't anything in the agenda. That was something you should have had under your belt when you came in here. Okay,
so let me jump in here because you sort of hinted at this fact, and I'm gonna make you either say it or not say it. Even with you being what's the word? As further ahead as you were educationally, right? Coming out of high school, you were a great student. You always strived. You always did well. You still, to some degree, felt not as prepared for the collegiate experience academically as you should have and could have and maybe would have been. What do you think was missing? Is it something grand, or is it just tidbits from subject to subject?
I think, and it's hard for me to really just admit it, I think it was something grand. I think it is something systemically that is going on in Oklahoma City public schools to where, and I heard this from a lot of teachers back in the past, but I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't know what it meant. Right. But just being an adult now, I kind of see it. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times we prepare our students to pass a test, which is in Oklahoma CPS, it's the EOI, end of instruction exams. Right. And these end of instruction exams, they're crafted to teach a portion of everything that's in that specific subject. Sure. It's not geared to teach the whole thing. Mm. And I heard that from a few teachers. That's why EOIs were very bad, because
I've heard that too.
It's like if you're only teaching 8 subjects out of the book, but there's 12 chapters in the book, you're only teaching 8 for the EOI. Mm. So when it's time to take the ACT doesn't care what school you came from. They're going over everything taught in that subject, all 12 chapters. And if you didn't get those last 4,
that's a big chunk.
Okay, it's gonna come into play. So even though I was a great student, great athlete, I think it was just out of my hands, and I didn't know that until I had left. I didn't know that at all. Especially when I came back and just talked to teachers and things like that. They'll be open with you. It's just like they don't like it at all. They don't like EOIs. I say this as an educator now. I'm all for end of instruction exams, but it needs to be geared towards what's going to be taught later. So if you're going to college or you're taking the ACT where all 12 chapters are taught, these end of instruction exams, all 12 chapters need to be gone over in this end of instruction exam, so we can adequately prepare our students to take this test, because they will have to take the ACT in the same demeanor.
For sure.
So I'm just like, the things have to add up. We can't shortcome our students in one area just to probably make our schools look good. And then say like all of our students are passing EOIs, and then when they take the ACT and they see something, they was like, "Oh, we didn't teach you that."
Right.
I'm just like, that's not fair.
Yeah. What you just broke down sounds like either a philosophical difference or miscalculation, for lack of a better term, or something that's infrastructural. You see what I'm saying? That 8 out of 12 thing, but it seems like ABC to me. It seems like we got to cover all the ground. So then they'll have all the ground covered whenever it's ready to take the test. That's what it sounds like. Now, here's what I've heard anyway from a lot of teachers, past and present, that some of them are not fans of the EOI altogether. And I'm like, that's interesting and sort of fascinating to me. And the reason why I say it's fascinating is because I'm not the type to try to just pinpoint a problem. Like, I'm going to bring you a problem and a proposed solution. Yeah. Now, in my opinion, we obviously have to measure retention and some level of understanding from our students. Exactly. So if we're not going to use an exam to do that, what are we going to use?
Exactly. That's I'm on the same boat as you. I'm all for measurement, even if it's not the EOI, but there has to be some level of measure to us to assess that, hey, are our students getting what we teach them? Mm-hmm. There has to be some form of measure, and I can't answer what that is other than a test. Then for me to give you a problem and have you go over it, see if you remember everything that I taught you. If not, we're going to go back to the drawing book. So I understand some educators like they're not for the EOI at all, because if you don't have the EOI, then the only thing that you're planning for, the only thing that you're getting ready to, prep for is the entire subject as a whole, which is great. You don't have any constrictions, you don't have any pressures.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. But how are we going to assess that? How are you going to assess, okay, if we don't have any instruction exam, are our students ready for Algebra 2 after they leave Algebra 1?
Right.
How are we able to determine that factor instead of just letting them go there? Because if we don't assess, we don't know who knows what. So when they get in the next subject, if they didn't know anything, then we can't help them at that point. Because it was like, dang, then, we just felt that kid. Like, no.
We all want to do a good job in our role, too. So if they come to me after leaving you, and they're ill-equipped, I'm going to ask a question that may tug at your ego a little bit. Like, hey, who was your math teacher last year? You know what I mean? That's a direct reflection. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, obviously, we're just two guys, two young guys, relatively green in the profession, just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But now, I'm going to ask you to put your book down, take your ID badge off, and put your whistle on. We got to talk some coaching now. Now, how long have you been coaching? Because you're the head track coach at Millwood High School now, right? Will it just be boys or will it be boys and girls? Do you know?
I won't be head coach for girls. I think there's a head coach.
Okay.
I was just told that I would have guys.
Okay.
So I will be the head track and field coach. This is my first head position.
Okay.
I've been an assistant coach once at Frederick A. Douglass this past spring, and I did some not official coaching at a school I was helping at when I was in a Gear Up program. I did some consulting. I went out there with the track team, said a little few things, gave a little, worked out a little bit with the high school. It's called Highland Park High in Topeka. I was definitely out there interacting with the kids, but I wasn't an official coach. But I was still, I was still out there giving them workouts. We was out there training, was out there doing the thing because I felt like that was a place where that was very comfortable for me. So, so that was 2 years of assistant coaching. Now I'm the head track and field coach. It was a great honor that Millwood gave me this opportunity. But as far as just being a coach, I'm not gonna say like anything has changed, but I mean nothing has really changed. My standards for what I hold to myself and the standards I hold my athletes, both academically and athletically, won't ever change. I expect the best out of you, and I'm gonna give you the same tools that my coaches had given me throughout my lifetime. So prepare.
I like that. Now, here's the deal. I think when we're really good at something, one of the challenges that could exist is trying to view somebody else that we're working with as if they're on the same level as we were when we were in their shoes. Like, have you ever run into a situation like that where something seems so easy to you, but they're struggling with it, and you're getting frustrated because you ought to be able to do this, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think I learned that. I think I'm getting better at that every year.
All right.
I'm not gonna say I just got over that. I probably still haven't really just got over it. But like I'll say where it really hit hard was my first year when I was really just new to coaching. I was actually just helping out. As you can see, I was at the time I was a Division I athlete. I was like, okay, thinking back in my time, I was like, I was able to do this while, so why aren't you able to do this? But I had to understand that, my success in high school, it's not equatable to what these students are doing or what their views are in their heads. So like,
gotta meet them where they are.
I had to meet them where they are, and I was like, okay, you might not. I had to come to realization, especially my second year. I gave myself this standard for myself. I was like, no matter what child I'll be coaching, I'm gonna make them a better runner. I'm gonna make their times drop no matter where they're at. They might not ever win a state championship. They might not ever go on to compete nationally, but if they're running, 205 and 800, my goal is to get them to run like 204, 203 by the end of this year.
Right.
My goal is to get you to run something faster and keep getting you better to a point to where like, okay, hey, this is what we do. My goal is not for you if you're running 205. My goal is not for you to come out running 155. I will not set that standard for you. And I'm not going to say like I don't want to, but if you are not that runner to where I feel like you're going to be that, even though I'm not limiting anybody, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, you sound like you're setting realistic expectations.
Yeah, I'm setting realistic expectations, and I want you to be great. But at the same time, I'm not going to equate your life to my success. So, like, I'm going to give you everything you need to get better, and we're going to check. We're going to push you. I'm going to push you. No matter what time we get at the end of the year, it's gonna be something that's progressed from where you are. So right. I need you to get better than what you are, and that's my standard for coaching.
Would you say that that's what we just got to talking about, meeting them where they are? Would you say that that's been the biggest challenge that you faced thus far in your coaching career, or has there been another one?
That's probably been the biggest. The other piece is just learning how to coach your own sport. I think that for me was the biggest challenge. I had to go to my coaches. I had to go back and be like, okay, why should I be doing this? Because as an athlete, I feel like, I'm not gonna say as an athlete, but when you were me and you ran 800 so many times, you were doing this, you were doing that. Even in college, you're not necessarily thinking why you need to do it
right
in depth. If you were telling somebody else or coaching somebody else, you're doing it just for yourself. Right. But now you're in a position to where you are the coach. Now you need to make that student understand why they should be doing it. I've been getting better at that. I've been understanding what could I say, what could I demonstrate to understand, because I want you to understand why you need to be doing this. I'm not just going to tell you have to do this because you have to do it. I need you to understand why, and that's been a big thing for me. Either that and the not seeing myself in students has been like the biggest things I've been improving definitely on.
Man, that's a big point you made right there, because I still wrestle with that last point that you made, because I think there's a fine line between, okay, they need to just do certain things because the person who's in the position of authority says do it. And on the other hand, you don't want them to be robots to where they just going through the motions, doing whatever with no real purpose, because nobody ever broke it down to them and say, hey, this is why you're doing this. You see what I'm saying? Now, when you were coaching at Douglass, were you coaching under those who coached you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Coach Harvey Ryan, Coach Joe Bear,
Larry Joe Bear?
Larry Joe Bear.
My man.
Larry Joe Bear coaches at another school. I think
he's at Tecumseh. Yeah, I was with him last year.
I seen him during a few meets when I was with Douglas this past spring. He was glad I was there. He likes to see athletes that have been successful coming back. Everybody does.
Gotta pay it forward.
Coach Harvey Ryan, he was there. He's been there for over 30 years. Coach has been there for a long time. He was the head coach since Larry Joe Bear left. So he was the head coach. I was one of his assistant coaches. So it was good to see that side of me being a coach now when I used to be one of his athletes. Yeah,
came full circle. And the reason I brought that up is because I can remember when I first graduated college, my greatest mentor, who happened to be the guy who coached me when I was in high school, the plan was for me to come and join his staff, but he ended up, retiring a year earlier than what he was expected to. And I was looking forward not to just working with him, because that was going to be a thrill, but I learned all my game that I had known at that point from him, but it was through the eyes of somebody who was playing for him. But now I was going to be working alongside of him, and I want to see how many more secrets I could get. So I guess what I'm gearing up to ask you is, was there anything that you learned from your former coaches once you became sort of a peer of theirs, coaching with them, that you hadn't learned when they were coaching you as an athlete?
Yes, it was more of the patience part.
Okay.
It was the patience part. It was everything that I hold dearly to my heart as far as coaching now. I actually learned everything from them, coaching alongside them, especially with the Wyatts. After when I would come out there in the summer and help them do the things with the kids, they taught me. A lot of my coaches did. Coach Love, everybody that coached Feeside Service, they taught me it's more about, at this point when you're a coach, it's about patience. You got to give them what you got to give them the reason why. Work with them as what you can. You have to have patience to see the outcome, because that's what they did for me. Not knowing that I would know that as an athlete, but that's exactly what was happening to me when I was an athlete.
And you noticed it.
They gave me what they gave me. They didn't explain why. They sat back and watched the patience. Watched with the patience. So that's the same mentality that they taught me. So that's what I took from them as far as secrets. I was like, so this is how you coach. This is what you do when I'm running 2 laps. This is what you're doing.
Now, what are your expectations for this coming season? All right, because this is not your first coaching gig, but it's your first time in the driver's seat as a head coach, right?
Definitely.
And you're at a brand new school in a brand new district, somewhat of a rival. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so you're across the tracks.
Yeah, my kids don't let me forget it either.
Right.
My kids do not let me forget it. Millwood has had a lot of success in track and field that I've seen in the past few years, especially last year with the runner-up for boys. I'm overly competitive.
You
so,
don't say.
So we have to. I told some of them that ran last year, like, if we got runner-up this year, we have to win this year. we got to bring home the gold this year. I don't know who is left. I don't know. I know majority who is still here. But as much as I've been told, we've only lost a couple people. So I'm just like, all right, if we still in good shape, we're still in good shape. We're gonna take the experience and we're gonna build on it. But we got to come back and we got to win this time. We can't get another second place trophy.
Yeah, you kind of put yourself in as a competitor, you'd love it. But logistically, that's a rough spot to be in, right? When you get that close and there's only one more peg up to go, and it's to grab that brass ring. So, but if you got everybody in alignment with what the vision is, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but it'll be a little easier than when you're trying to pull everybody to get everybody on one accord because everybody's got different agendas and this, that, and the whole nine. So, yeah, I'm going to be watching, trying to see if y'all can bring it home. Now, here's how I want to finish. Favorite segment. We talked about it a little bit off camera. I call it all due disrespect, right? So I'm going to ask you to dig into the archives, right? During your days as an athlete, whether it was a one individual opponent that you lined up against, they got the better of you that you knew had no business beating you, or a team that you and yours ended up losing to that had no business beating y'all, whether it's at the high school level or it's at the collegiate level. And if you could go back to go get that one back, you go back in a minute.
All right. There is both, and it's all happened in high school. It was never necessarily in college, because in college, you in Division I, you Division I. Right. Everybody out here dogs.
That's
but it was more in college. My junior year, when I really started to take off and started to see really good times that I finally started to see, I won my first state championship in 2013. I repeated in 2014 before I graduated. So my junior year, it was us and it was Bristol. Bristol, I'm not sure if you know where Bristol is.
I do.
Bristol, their only state championship is the state championship we gave them.
Hold on, you didn't mix your words right there either. Y'all gave it to them?
We gave it to them. At least from my perspective.
I feel it.
So
I want to hear it.
In 2013, in the state championship 4A, you can go back and look. We got runner-up. Bristol won. We as a team were just, the weather was bad. I understand that. We had some wind problems. But as a team, I think we were having a lot of success that year with everybody. We were having a lot of success, especially guys, because at Douglass, if you go back and look, Douglass, as far as track and field, guys have a state championship. I think they have a double. But girls are dogs at Douglass. Like they got so many state championships. They had I think they had a double or a triple threat run for state championships at one time in 4A. So girls was just known to be good at. But guys, we would always sit there and just watch, like, bro, when is it gonna be our time? So if any time was that time, it was 2013, because we had never been any close to winning state championship every year since we won our last one in 2008. I was in middle school when high school won their state championship.
Right.
Watching them, and it was great. But in 2013, what happened was our 4x2, when Oklahoma brought back the 4x200 meter race or relay, I think that was the first year they did that. They brought it back, and it's now officially back in the state. Our 4x2 relay dropped the baton. I wasn't on that. I didn't run too much.
Like you said that. I wasn't on that.
But they what was crazy about it is 4x1 100 meter run relay. They won. They won state. It was the same people on the 4x2. So, but I felt like there was so much pressure with us. But we were having so much success the whole year that the 4x1 wasn't ranked in the top 3. 4x2, I think, was leading the class in 4A at the time. So we had the fastest. This state championship was supposed to be a sweep. We had everything we needed. I didn't place very high in the mile due to some complications that year with the repeat system he running the mile. But I placed enough to where we got some points. Our 4x8 even went, and we weren't even supposed to even go. Like, obviously, I would be the only stallion on that 4x800 meter relay, but I had my brother. We had other guys who were working very hard the entire year, enough to where I think we won regionals. We won our regionals, and we PR by something big. So we were ranked in the top 8 as far as the 4x8. When everybody looked at us like, hey, 4x8 is a race that we don't even consider here at Douglass. But we won regionals, and we were ecstatic because, like, we won the state. That's 4x8 going to state.
Go, baby.
So, like, our 4x1 won. Our whole team went to state because we won regionals. So we had swept our regionals and got to go to a state as a team. But what happened at state was, I think everybody had got caught in and anxiety. The weather was going bad. I only ran. When I won my state championship, it wasn't by a lot. They won by a lot at all. It was about like a second off my PR.
Wow.
Because it was so much wind. So I was having problems. Everybody's having problems. But since the 4x2 dropped the baton, like that was literally our knife in the back at that point. Because now, since we did not even place in the 4x2 to get any points at all, now we are tied with Bristol. Now, coming down to the after I ran the mile and got what I got, we had figured out that the 4x4 was going to be the last race, and it was going to determine who was going to win the state championship. But since we had dropped the baton, that put us in like a bad spot. It kind of put us up underneath Bristol by, I think, 1 or 2 points, because we didn't get the points from the 4x2 that would put us way ahead. So our coach literally gave us in the huddle and told us, like, hey, we have to win this 4x4 to tie for state.
Wow. That was the best case scenario.
Best case scenario, if Bristol gets second and we win, we tie for state. If Bristol gets anything less than second, we win state. Bristol won't get anything less than second because it was us and Bristol the entire year as far as the rankings within 4A and 4x4. The funny thing was that Bristol was beating us by a second the entire year, just 1 second. We had the fastest seeding time coming in for preliminaries in 4x4. We had the fastest seeding time. Bristol had second. So what happened? Our coach made a rash decision to move their anchor to third leg. I was the anchor.
I was going to say, just go ahead and start talking in third person.
I was the anchor the entire year. I progressively have been getting faster in the 400 just by running it, just by, getting stronger and everything, just like the 8. And I have been averaging, I would say I've been averaging about maybe 48, maybe 7, 48.6 about all year. I was averaging 48 every year, every split, as far as splits in the 400. I was averaging 48. All my teammates were either 50 flat, or our slowest leg was like 53. He was a freshman.
Right.
So we were right there. Bristol was like 1 second ahead of us because all of their runners probably just maxed out at 50 flat or 51. So they were logically, averagely, they would beat us even though I was running 48. So our coach made that rash decision. Okay, Anthonio go to third leg, and I had my teammate named Dior. He went to fourth leg. When literally me and Dior are the fastest legs, he will go 50 flat, or on a good day he may hit the 49 like 9 mark, and that was our 1-2 punch. So, but
you were 48 still.
But I was still 48, regardless of what everybody else was.
Even on his best day, you were a little.
I was still 48.
Better.
Yeah, I was. You always put your fastest leg fourth leg. So I was kind of confused as to why, but in the moment of having that adrenaline, I just got off the mile. I just heard that. I didn't run the 800. I mean, I ran the 800 a couple races back. So not only am I the state champion, but now I'm put in the position of we got to win this for the state championship, because everybody knows you don't get rings unless you win the state championship. It doesn't matter. If you can win the 8, you can win the 4, you good. But you don't get a ring unless you win as a team. And I was like, we got to win this because I want a ring.
I want that.
And all of you all leave. This is all you're all senior year. I'm going to still be here. We're not going to win state next year.
You knew that, huh?
I knew that because everybody that was leaving was heavy hitters. Chris High, who ended up going to play for Army or the Navy. I think it was the Navy, not Army, the Navy. He ended up going playing for Navy. I think he graduated. Chris High, he ran the 200. Anthony Williams, he was the 300 meter or the 100 meter hurdle champion. Dior placed in the 400. We had some heavy hitters there, but all these guys were seniors.
They were on their way out.
They were on their way out. So I was just like, I'm the only one that's left amongst all the freshmen. Mm-hmm. So, and our freshmen, it's freshmen coming out of middle school. They did their part. We had a few good ones, but none of them went to state except the guy we had on our 4x4. He was a freshman. He went to state and ran the 400, but he didn't place high. So he had some talent. But what happened was, as soon as Bristol heard that, they moved their third leg to the fourth leg. Their third leg is the guy that beat our Chris out in the 200. He was long, he was lanky. He ran 22 flat to win the 200 meter over Chris High. Chris, I think he got like 22 something, but he finished right behind that guy from Bristol. Yeah. So literally, what it was supposed to be the 200 meter state champion versus the 800 meter state champion in a 400 meter all out battle.
Which would have been you versus
Which
him.
would be me versus him. Because they were gonna move they're gonna move that leg regardless. They already told us like their coach is getting ready to move that leg regardless after he won the 200. So I was like, I have my teammate Dior, who's gonna go 49. He gonna go 49 because this is his last race. So I'm not.
You knew he was gonna empty the tank.
He had to empty the tank because we all talked about it in the huddle. I was like, this is it. Whatever you got, this is it. Y'all gonna go play football for college later. I was like, just gonna run this race because this will be the last race you ever run.
That's fact.
Literally. So I was like, please leave it on the track. So that's what we all did. But so 1-2, our first leg hit, which was the freshman. He came out of the blocks. He did his thing. He ran I think he ran like 51. He ran a good, split. I think it was his fastest split he had all year. Chris was a 200 meter runner. So he was just supposed to hold on for us. So Chris ran like 52, something that he would normally run. It might have been his fastest split of the year. And then they handed it to me. I ended up running 47.9.
Ooh, that's faster than you've ever done.
I was like, I don't know what is going to happen, but I'm going to give us this lead. I remember that race because it hurt so bad, but I realized I was moving so fast. I was like, this is a new speed. Right. I don't know what this speed is, but so after I handed off the baton, I literally collapsed in the end zone. I was literally just watching Dior. We had an 80-meter lead. Ooh. Open gap.
Right.
And every curve, it felt like every 50 meters, that 80-meter gap was closing. And it was, because I'm just like, Dior. In my mind, I'm looking at the 200-meter state champion chase down Dior, and I'm just like, I'm watching slowly leak. And we had about 40 meters left. Literally, the guy from Bristol was right there up on Dior, and I was just like, Dior, I don't care what you do, you better dive, you better hold on. He ended up passing Dior, winning. And I was like, my coach even says to this day, you ask like Harvey Ryan, Jover, they was like, we made the wrong call. We should have never did that, because if you have to race that guy, he would have never beat me.
You believe that, huh? You'd have dusted him.
He would have never beat me, not with that much adrenaline. Like I ran that 47 like split by myself, because not only was we in the lead, we were in. I'm not gonna lie, we were like in second or third. But as soon as I got the baton at the first curve, I'm in the lead and I'm gone. I'm used to doing it. I have to do it in the 8. I'm gone. Like, you're not catching me. So if we had to restructure that race, we would have probably been in the same position, but probably behind Bristol, like we always were the whole year. Because once I got the baton, we were always behind Bristol, and they always had like a 30-meter lead ahead of us because of that split averages.
Right. So
I always had to come and chase them. But the last time we raced them, we won. And every other time we never raced them. But our times, average-wise, that's what it would look like. But on this particular day, if I was fourth leg, not only would I have came and got the 200-meter state champion, I would have held him off, and I would have probably left him. So, but
you'd have caught up,
and we
passed him.
Yes, and we would have to flip a coin for that trophy, because that's what it would have came down to. Like, we would flip a coin with the trophy, but it really didn't matter if we tied for a state championship. It would have been a tie, like due to laws. Like, it's a tie. There's a tie. There is no runner-up. There's a tie. So, like, both of us would have been in the state championship. There would have been the rings. But since we lost, it was we brought home the second place trophy. It's sitting in the case at Douglass right now with all our names on it. I was so heated.
Still don't want to look at it.
I was still heated. Like, it was so bad. I didn't even want to touch the trophy.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this was my only chance of getting a ring. And I was just like, it's cool. Next year, funny thing was, senior year, I got hurt and I was out for the season. After running a very fast time over the summer that lowered all of my times, which allowed Coach Stanley Redwine to look at me, was that junior year. I sat out senior year, but I was too naive to sit out. So I think 2 weeks before regionals, I came back with I wasn't a messed up patellar tendon, but it was pretty beat up. I came back with a patellar tendon, ran in the regional 4A class. Automatically, I was the #1 ranked runner in 4A. Everyone realized I was back, and they was like, "Bro, where have you been?" And there was a lot of people, especially at state, that was like, "Anthonio, you back?" Man,
right.
So I ended up running state, and I ran faster at that state than I did the previous state. But
even with a busted up leg.
even for only 2 weeks of training, because at that point in my senior year, I was no longer on the high school level because of that year and because primarily that summer where I've been running a very fast time. I ended up running 153 because I won the meet of champions that same year after I won the 4A state class, because we had bad weather all year long. That I told myself, if we get a meet where there's no wind and it's just good, maybe 80, 90 degree weather, I'm gonna run something fast. That race did not come until the end of the season at the Oklahoma meet of champions race. I went 153, was on the front cover page of the athletic section in Oklahoma. That's the same paper I showed everybody during the interview. I mean, during the introduction, when we were all in high school doing our introductions.
There you go.
I was like,
you got to put on for yourself.
I was on the front cover. It was so amazing because I was like, I finally got that break because I've been running 156 all year long due to the weather. Like, we had horrible wind, but when I got that break, literally, it was a whole 3-second drop. It was so amazing. But over the summer, I got invited, because of that time, I got invited to this World Trials event that happens for kids in high school, that happens every 2 years. The winner goes to Europe, and it's actually online. The race is still online. I went 151.8. The second place runner went 151.6, and the winner went 151.2. It was us, 1, 2, 3. And that was the worst race. I would tell people that of my high school career. It was kind of the worst race ever because I literally didn't have anything left during half the race, but I was still going.
There you go.
I was still pushing.
Crank that thing in the overdrive, baby.
I wanted to go to Europe. So, like, after that, when I came back in my senior year, not only I knew I was a foot away from the Oklahoma record, because Oklahoma high school record for 8 is 151.7,
right,
72. I just had ran 151.8, 151.80. So I was like, I was a toe away from the Oklahoma record. But my injury during cross country, because I came right back into cross country senior year, like, I was so banged up from grinding hard, like my tendon couldn't take it, and I had to sit out, and it was so hurtful. It was so hurtful that my pride couldn't be contained. I was like, nah, I'm not finna hand down my state championship from the stand. I was like, if anybody want it, y'all gonna have to come get it.
Beat you.
So I trained, did me, and I won my senior year. I repeated at 154, like 7, and that was faster than I ran last state because it was like 156. But it wasn't anything. It wasn't anything extreme for me in my head because I was like, I wanted the record, but I couldn't get it. So I was like, I'm going to at least take this gold medal. If I can't, I was like, y'all can have it after this year. I'm going to KU. I'm going to KU. So
classic competitor right there, man.
So like, yeah, that's one gimme that I always wanted back. I was just like, I didn't say anything, and I was just like, I could have said something. Maybe it could have changed the coach's mind, but I didn't say anything. And I was like, all right, coaches know what they doing. I'm not gonna challenge it. They're gonna put me third. They're gonna put me third. The same output. I think the same output would have. But nah, I was like, nah. After that, I was like, I would have never gotten beat if I was that fourth leg. I don't care who was there. We had to win. That was just more adrenaline that would just be put in the tank if I had to run. Because every year I was running fast times and I had no one over my shoulder. Sure. If I had the 200-meter state championship on my shoulder, he would have met the same fate. Like, literally.
It's like that.
It's like that.
Golly. So that's the one that got away.
It's the one that got away. And if you go to a football game or anything for Bristol, you will see they got that banner. It says 4A state champ. We went there.
Makes you sick.
It made me sick. We went there for when I was coaching at Douglass last spring. We actually had a track meet there, and that's where I found out. I was like, I don't like that. I was like, I don't like that. Like I was like, that was ours.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, that's one gimme I had to have back. I had this one competitor in high school who he wasn't in the same state as me. His name was Charles Jones Jr. National competitor. He was great. He was he holds I think he holds the AAU record for the 800. Great guy. I think he plays basketball, runs track. He's like 6 foot. At the time he was like 6 foot, like 2. Great competitor, great 800-meter runner. Impossible to beat. All throughout my high school career.
Right.
Me and Charles Jones for our region championship every year, no matter where it was at. If it was in St. Louis one year, if it was in Missouri another year, like no matter where it was at, like it would be me and him. But he was so good that he made me get better because I could never beat this guy. He ran like 47 in the 800. 47 in the 400 open. Right. Like he went 149. He was nationally ranked. Like I could never beat this guy. And I was just like, me and him. He ended up going to Texas Tech when I committed to KU. We ended up seeing each other. Oh, he actually won a Big 12 championship outdoor. So like I think he's running pro right now. He went on to do great things, but like that was one person I wish I could have beaten at least once. Charles wouldn't let me get out one win. Every time we met up, he was like, "Hey, where Antonio at?" I'm like, "Hey, what's up, bro?"
Yeah, it's me.
He ready to take his L today?
Yeah.
But it never happened. We was just, I think we made each other better every time we raced against each other. It was all because it was so much fierce competition. He knew he was a lot better than me, but he knew if he had an off day, he stuck one toe out of line, I was right there. So right. But yeah, like that's as far as his gimmies. Yeah, it was that 2013 state championship.
Man, brother, I appreciate you taking time on a Sunday evening, coming and giving me all this game.
Thank
you. Know what I mean? This has definitely been
Pleasure's
therapeutic for me. And like you said, you helped me learn more about track and cross country today. So I'm going to get there one of these days. I'm going to be able to talk it like you talking. But, until next week, you viewers and you listeners, we appreciate you taking time. And we're going to hit you back with another one in a week or so. And we got to get ready to go to work in the morning, right?